everyone! In this video, I'm going to show you how to brew and serve tea Persian style. Tea is called chai in Iran, and that's because when tea made its way from China to Iran through the Silk Road, the Chinese word for tea, which is cha, became chai in the Persian language. And let me tell you, Iranians love their chai and drink lots and lots of it, morning, day and night. In Iran, tea is how you rest and how you relax. It's an integral part of recreation, and it is a key part of how you show hospitality. In fact, tea is the key part of the ritual of greeting and welcoming guests and visitors to your home or even to your place of business. The Persian tea ceremony is a very significant part of the Iranian culture and identity, I would even say. Now, without further ado, let's make Persian tea. To begin with, we're going to need a teapot, same as with making any other kind of tea. What kind of teapot should you use to make Persian tea? Well, porcelain teapots like this are traditionally used, but ultimately any kind of teapot, except for metallic ones, will do the job. I personally like to use this Japanese teapot that has a mesh tea infuser that also strains the loose tea leaves. It just makes life a whole lot easier, because if your teapot doesn't have a built-in strainer, then you'll have to use a strainer when pouring tea to avoid the tea leaves getting into the teacup. Next, we need tea. The question is, what kind of tea? Iranians love Persian tea produced in the tea plantations of the Caspian Sea region of Iran. That's very popular for its strong flavor, lovely aroma, and beautiful amber color. Iranians also equally love to use Darjeeling tea imported from India. So basically, what kind of tea should you use to make Persian tea? Any kind of good quality loose leaf black tea, such as Darjeeling, Earl Grey or Ceylon. I've also heard from a reliable source that a 50-50 blend of Earl Grey and Darjeeling closely resembles Persian tea, so you may want to try that as well. Now it's time to boil water. Here's water boiling for tea in the mountains. Such a typical scene in Iran. I also have to show you this intriguing object called a samovar, probably the most interesting kettle in the world. A Russian invention, samovars became extremely popular in Iran in the 18th century. Samovar does three things all at once. It boils water, it has a spout to dispense hot water, and it has a place on top to rest a teapot to brew the tea and keep it warm. Even though it's been replaced by modern gadgets by now, samovar remains as the very icon of Persian tea making. Now let's go boil water for our tea. The first step of making tea Persian style is we add a bit of the boiled water to the teapot, swirl it around the teapot, then pour it out. This ritual accomplishes two things. It warms the teapot, and two, it allows boiling water to settle and cool down just a bit, which is better and more gentle for the tea leaves. Next, we place 2 heaping tablespoons of tea leaves in the teapot. We can also add a couple of cardamom pods and brew along with the tea. Cardamom adds a lovely and traditional aroma to tea, but is an entirely optional step. Now we fill the teapot 3/4 full with boiling water. Then place the teapot on the same stovetop burner where you just boiled the water. Cover the teapot with a tea cozy or tea towel. We now let tea brew and steep for 5 to 10 minutes. This is a very important step to get the best color and flavor. Now it's time to serve tea Persian style. Persian tea is always served in glass, never in a cup or a mug. This is to show off the color of tea, which is as important as the taste and aroma of tea. Persian tea glasses run the gamut from traditional to modern, fancy to ordinary. Here are the few types that I have at hand that I can show you. It's finally time to pour the tea. Fill each glass halfway with tea. Persians take their tea either strong, meaning very strongly colored, or weak, lightly colored, or somewhere in between. A Persian host always asks how you take your tea before pouring and serving you your glass of tea. So now add hot water to dilute the tea to the desired color. Garnishing tea with a dried rosebud is a classic Persian touch during special occasions. Tea is never drunk with milk in Iran. Iranians also do not take sugar with tea and instead sweeten tea in a few different ways. The most popular way of sweetening tea is to take your tea with sugar cubes. In the Persian culture, tea and sugar cubes go together like needle and thread and are the perfect pair. That's why a Persian tea set always includes something called a qandun, which is basically a jar with a lid to store sugar cubes. A very Persian way of taking the sugar cubes with your tea is to place the sugar cube in your mouth, then sip the tea through the sugar lump until the sugar cube dissolves, and then you take another sugar cube. Another very traditional and popular way of sweetening tea, Persian style, is to use a type of rock candy that we call nabat. And how that works is to stir and dissolve the rock candy in your tea. And of course, a lot of people take their tea as is without adding anything to sweeten it. When served in cafes and restaurants, and also when entertaining, tea is almost always accompanied by sweet things. Things like dates, Persian marzipan mulberry, dried mulberries, cookies, and basically some kind of sweet delicacy. And that's it. Now you know how to make and serve tea Persian style.